So on with our task for this morning, and I would like to introduce you to divergent thinking. So when we're looking at divergent thinking, we're looking at widening our thinking process. We're looking at exploring things in a different way, and we're inviting ideas. So we're suspending judgment, and we're not placing judgment or assessing ideas at this point in time. So here, this is the process of creating many alternative solutions to a problem that you are trying to solve. And here, might I add that it is very important for you to actually put the focus down when you're thinking of an idea or trying to solve a problem. It is very important for you to specify the focus. In our jargon, so to say, you could have a problem statement. So what am I thinking about? And this will help you to keep the focus and to generate ideas in relation to that problem statement. So, first practice item for today, okay, you have all seen, I don't know whether you can see me at all on your screens, but you have all seen and used paper clips, okay, in your life. And we usually use them to fasten paper together. I will stop sharing my screen for a few seconds, okay? So you have all seen paper clips. I got giant ones so that you could actually see them on screen, okay? I'm going to give you the first practice item for today. And over the next 2 minutes, I would like to invite you to make a list without judging your idea. So anything counts, okay? I would like you to think of as many different uses for a paperclip as you can think of. I will help you out a little bit. Oh, Erica, don't worry. I saw Erica's eyebrows go up. Don't worry, it's fine. That's my students' reaction as well when I first do this. It's perfectly normal. So one of the most common responses that we get is, you know, children, they make bracelets and things like that. So you join them together. It's a use. For the children, it's a use. Perhaps in your homes, you put up a Christmas tree. And year on year, I tend to lose the string of my Christmas decorations. So Beatrice is smiling because perhaps you do this as well. You open it up, it becomes a hook. I mean, a smaller one, of course, a bit more dainty, you know, this is a bit big. So I gave you 2 examples. I'm going to start my timer, so you will hear it beep. And in 2 minutes, your time will be up. So for the next 2 minutes, please, thank you, Godfrey. I would like you to make as many think of as many different uses for a paperclip as you can. Apologies, Olga, can you write them down on a piece of paper instead of putting them in the chat so that people won't pick up on your ideas? Keep them to yourself for now. Sorry, Olga, my mistake. Rahela, again, can you put them down on a piece of paper, please? Because I will ask you to count them. Beatrice, on a piece of paper, please. Thank you. "20 seconds, no pressure." So it's time. Okay, let me just make sure that I did switch it off. Oh, well, okay, so timer's up, so pens down. And before I go on, if you hear noise, I will actually close the window, but our happy graduates here are celebrating very vivaciously, I would say. Apologies for this. Okay. But once upon a time, we were like them too. Well, we didn't have noise in our day. It's been a long time. So, dear all, any reactions? How was it? How did you feel about this?
Probably if I had more time, I would come up with an even longer list.
Okay, thank you, Godfrey. All right. So on a level of, say, 1 to 5, 1 is really low and 5 is great. How did you feel about having to generate ideas in relation to a paperclip? Okay, 5, cool. Okay, anyone else? Beatrice? 3? Okay, how come, Beatrice? Okay, so how many ideas did you have? So how many people had between 1 and 5 ideas? Okay, 1 and 5. So I can see a few. I cannot see all of you, so let me see if I can. Okay, gallery view. Okay, how many people had between 5 and 10? Any idea? Me, Anna. How many did you have, Anna? I'm following the chat as we go as well. I'm not sure if she is writing. Me, and Maria as well. Maria, how many did you have? Would you like to write? 3, so Maria had 3, okay, between 1 and 5, okay. So this is exactly what I meant when I said this is like going to the gym or doing some exercise. So Anna had 5, thank you, Anna. So today, perhaps you were a bit rusty because this is not like something that you do every day, do you? Okay, think of alternate uses for something. So I might add that you have just done your perhaps first creativity test. And this is a test that is commonly used in research to assess creative potential. It doesn't mean that you don't have it, it means that you need to invest in it. And that is why we're here this morning, because we're trying to invest in how we can actually become more creative, okay? So your creativity muscle, okay, will become stronger and stronger the more you practice these, the more you get out of your comfort zone and you zone in and say, okay, let me try and do something differently. And even the way you phrase things, sometimes our mindset can help us here. Okay, so if you normally do something in the same way, you can ask yourself, how can I do this differently? Is there another way of doing it? And like that, you would be enhancing and empowering your own rewiring, if you wish. So I will share my screen. Actually, before I share my screen, sorry. So here I had, bear with me for a second. So Maria said, pick up my hair and fix a zipper. Olga said earrings, and Raquel said to open bags. Beatrice also said to open or reset electronic devices. Anything different? Any different ideas?
I added a tie clasp. Of course, it has to be a man to come up with that answer.
Oh, well, actually, you could use that for a scarf as well. If it's windy, it could be useful. Okay. To replace a button. Yes, Olga. Anything else?
Maybe as a substitute for book binding.
Yes.
When you
like
do the DIY.
Great. Thank you, Seth. Okay. Anything else? To hang a picture and to unlock a door. Yes, very good. I'm also looking at the chat as we go. So there is this psychological phenomenon that goes with this, if you want as well. Sometimes we feel like our ideas might not be good enough. So I kind of take a step back until I realize that I'm in a safe environment and I can contribute. So it's fine, it's okay. And this is the first time we're meeting online anyway. There's also the fact that sometimes what happens is we ride on each other's ideas. So someone says something and say, ah, yes, and you think of something else. So it's good to engage with these activities, also in groups. So if you work on a project, okay, you're on a project team, and sometimes from time to time you go in and you have a little icebreaker with your team, okay? Do one of these activities. It gets people to warm up. It gets people to start, you know, to get the creative fluids going, okay? And it's a very, very useful way of doing things in a different way. We also have, I'll just close up this section with the last three ideas. So Peter said jeans hem, yes. Open SIM tray, okay. In my day, it used to be open the CD drive. Zip up or down a code, good one. Okay, so thank you very much for your contributions. If you look this up online, this is one of the most popular tests, as I said. You would find tens and tens of, you know, hundreds of responses. When I do this with kids, because kids and children in general have lower expectations and, you know, because they have lower inhibitions perhaps as well, and, you know, they would like to have a laugh. It's incredible what funny things, but also practical things they can come up with. You know, so perhaps we should engage in our playfulness as well. There's lots of research showing that playfulness can enhance creativity. I'll share my screen again with you, because now we will go back to business. And so, okay, so this is where we were, and here we are now going to explore how we can find a problem, okay, and turn it into an opportunity. And I will first take you through the steps in which we can do this. Okay, so first identifying the problems. In step one, you make a list of problems or areas you wish to improve. Okay, so you could look at this from a personal point of view, you could look at this from your own point of view as a student, your professional point of view. So where do I have a problem? Where is there an issue? Where is there an area that I can improve? One thing to keep in mind, please, the term problem typically has negative connotations. We would like to disengage with that, because a problem does not necessarily have to have negative connotations, okay? So it could be, as I said, at home, at the supermarket, buy products you would like to buy, but are not available, during your leisure time, anywhere else you can think of. So start to already kind of think actively about this, okay? Secondly, you choose the item from your list here, so pick one, okay? And make a list of all the things that you take for granted in relation to this issue. I will guide you with this, don't worry, okay? So for example, this is an area that we struggle with because you need to focus. Since you take for granted these things, you don't normally think about them actively, okay? Final step is trying to shift our mentality now, shift our frame of mind, so to say. From that problem, we're going to jump into opportunities. So we're going to think of solutions. So we can make a list of possible solutions for the identified problem, okay? Now, I will stop sharing my screen. Okay, and we're going to try and practice. So 3 key steps. First, let's make a list of the areas where I would like to do some thinking. Secondly, we pick one, make a list of the things we take for granted. And thirdly, generate ideas for that particular area. Would you like to share any areas that you would like to explore? I'll be democratic. I'll ask first. How to stretch your budget, perhaps. This is a hot topic for everyone, I guess. No? Okay, so why not take something, as I mentioned earlier on, first we start off with practice items and examples that are fairly simplistic. Okay, so let's take a school environment, which most of us have had experience with so far. Okay, being in primary school, secondary school, college, university, whatever. So that is going to be our problem. And what I might do, apologies for my littered screen, okay? What I might do, I will share my screen with you and I will work the practice item with you as we go. Okay? Can you see my blank page here? Yes? Yes, I guess so. Okay. Because I can't see you now. Bear with me. Is it okay? Can you see a blank Word document? Good. Thank you, Beatrice. Okay, so from problems to opportunities. So first, we're going to identify a problem. I keep writing problem with a capital P, and it shouldn't, because for me, it's the focus. So somehow my mind goes in that direction. So step one, identify a problem. I'm going to keep it general, and I'm going to say lifestyles or I'll just pick an area, a very broad area, schools. Okay. Step two, related to a list of what we take for granted. Yeah. So now I will need your help. I cannot see you because you're in a very tiny window on the side of my screen. But if you wish, please feel free to unmute yourselves and speak up. So when you think of a school, what are the things that we take for granted? I'll help you. There are students and there are teachers, yeah? What else do we take for granted?
Can you explain a little bit when you mean
For
we take
granted?
for granted?
Yes. What things do we assume that are there? So in a school environment, there are students and there are teachers. So we assume that they will be there. Otherwise, it's not a school without teachers and students, you know?
Right.
What are other things that we assume that, you know, are in this environment?
Learning.
Learning. Thank you, Seth. Anyone else?
But it could be, for example, books or pencils.
Books or?
Pencils.
Pencils. Okay. May I say stationery? Pencils, books, pens, you know, all these things that we need to write with. Okay. Anything else?
Classrooms.
Classrooms, yes. Anything else? There is a timetable in schools. You know, without it, it would be quite chaotic.
Building.
Pardon?
Buildings that we were in.
Building. Yes, thank you, Ted. Anyone else would like to contribute? When you're in a school, what do you do? What happens?
We are having several comments on the chat.
Okay, let me see. Let me see.
I can read them to you
Oh,
if
yes,
that
please.
helps
Thank
you.
you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So
The first one, exams.
exams, for example, computers. Jose has mentioned recess time, and Paloma following that, playground.
Okay. And access to school. Does this mean access to an education, like the right to have an education? Okay. Anyone else? There's something else in the chat. So the toilets, yes, Maria. And teaching, okay. Perhaps emotions, okay. And one for one last one before we move on? Oh, yes, there is. Okay, the library and motivation. Okay, I'll just stop here for the time being. But this is good because you experience this, you know, you kind of get going with time, so we build momentum. I'm just conscious of time, so I would like you to experience the whole process during our session. So what we did, we identified, it's not really a focus, it's very broad. So the school environment, okay? The school. And then we made a list of the things that we take for granted. Now, we can, if we want to improve the school environment, okay, because we said a problem is something that we might want to change or improve on. Let's say we would like to improve on something. Okay. Could you in the chat type which one you would like to focus on? So look at the list and in the chat type, so I will go with the majority. Okay. So students, teachers, learning books, stationery, classrooms. Mm-hmm. A few more seconds, perhaps some other people might want to put their comment in the chat box. So which one would you like to take forward? Well, we seem to have reached some sort of consensus. Okay, so relationships. So may I stop here? While I share my screen, can you see the chat box as well? So as you can see, the majority of the comments were, well, vast majority. So it's motivation, emotions, and Carmen also added relationships. So step 3, motivation, emotions, and relationships. Okay, bear with me for a second so I can find them. Motivation. So this is going to be now our focus. So now we started off, hold on, emotions. We started off from something which was quite broad, so schools. We made the list of things that we assume are in schools. And now we're going to work on a specific problem statement related to emotions, relationships, and motivation. So now our task is to define a problem. Yes, so could you guide me now? When you're talking about emotions, relationships, and motivation, what would you like to improve if you had to write a problem statement? And now I will give you some time, I will give you a few minutes actually to think about this, okay? And I would like to invite you to write a problem statement. Now, when you write a problem statement, it needs to be quite focused, because if it's not focused, you will have more than one focus. And that doesn't work because your attention will not be concentrated, so to say, in one area. So let's have a problem statement which is concise, so perhaps 7 to 10 words long, not more than that, and something that is open, so something that invites ideas. So that now we will move on to the generation of ideas. Okay, take a few minutes and then again write your statements in the chat.
Should the statements be questions or affirmative sentences?
That's a good question. Some people prefer to write a problem question, like a research question, so to say. Some people prefer to write a statement. The most important thing is, for example, something that would invite ideas, something that is open, not a yes/no answer. So, for example, how to make our students more emotionally literate. Okay. To foster genuine relationships. So that would be, I mean, off the top of my head, my problem statement there. So I could actually, if you would like to experiment with this, I will still give you a few minutes, but we could also go with this, okay, later on. So take your time and practice. So if you want to still post it in the chat, I will give you some feedback on your problem statement, anyone who wants to do it. I will give you 2 minutes for this so that we don't end up spending too much time on it. Okay. Well, in the chat. Okay. So I will give, okay, thank you. I'll just give you a few more seconds just in case someone, because we have a few coming up in the chat. That's great. So just a nod, Juan, can you see my comments box on the screen as well?
No, I cannot.
Okay,
I
don't
cannot.
worry.
Maybe you could simply copy and paste the comments from
I'm
the
just
chat
going to do that,
the...
yes.
All right.
Let me do it. Okay. I'm glad with how many we have actually. That's okay, don't worry, Maria, got it. Well, sour, I like sour sweets, but okay, so there you go. How, okay. Paloma, that's an excellent one, huh? Okay, so we do seem to have a social heart, which is great. And now, okay, Ted, thank you very much. So let's close it at this for the time being. So Ted will be the last one. That's okay. So there's one more. Okay, so I can never say no to students. You see, I keep on pasting. Okay, thank you, Manuel. This is also great. In a way, it's good because I know that you are all following. That's good. Thank you. So this was the one that I came up with as an example. I will give you some feedback on the ones that you have put together yourselves, okay? So when you have, for example, productivity takes precedence over emotions or feelings. I forgot who wrote what, okay? So I won't address the person by name because I don't remember. So in this case, this statement, it's interesting, but it doesn't invite ideas. It seems like it's a de facto statement. It's there. Okay, so productivity takes precedence over emotions or feelings. It's interesting in concept. So all it needs is rewording. How we place our words, how we write them, how we phrase our sentences will help us to be in the right frame of mind to look for solutions. So perhaps we could also reword it in a way, so to say, let me find a different color, and not because I'm a teacher correcting in red, okay? So productivity takes precedence over emotions or feelings. How can, so now I'm going back to a question one. Earlier on, you asked, is it a question or a statement? How can a balance be sought between productivity and emotions? Okay, that question invites alternatives. The how, so you're going to come up with solutions there. Okay, and that could be a phrase that can very easily be used for you to come up with solutions in relation to that. So a balance between productivity, emotions, or feelings. Okay, we're actually going to use these statements in the breakout room. How to motivate our students to be creative? Yes, again, the how to. Okay, so inviting solutions there, good one. How to reduce cases of bullying and cyberbullying and achieve inclusive environment. This is a very, very interesting one, very relevant. Okay, there is one problem with this. The problem is that there are two areas that you can focus on. So you can either focus on bullying or you can focus on inclusive environments. My suggestion would be to break this down into two and focus on both separately. So you would dedicate your attention fully to bullying and cyberbullying and fully to inclusive environments because they are quite different. Although they overlap, they are quite different. So perhaps here, how to reduce cases of bullying and cyberbullying. Okay, and statement two could be how to enhance. Okay, so the choice of words is important here. How to enhance inclusive environments. Okay. Now, how to get our students more emotionally positive and creative collaborative? Oh, this is a big one. So emotionally positive is one. Creative, you could talk about group creativity, so I'm going to put that as two. Okay, very useful, both very good and desired in terms of, for example, employers and future. Okay, these are qualities that are sought for, but I wouldn't think about them in the same thinking session. So I would first think about how to make our students more emotionally positive, and perhaps I would think about creative collaborations separately. Okay, so you could phrase them. So that would be one. And the other one could be how to enhance creative or group creativity. Do you have any questions so far? If you have any questions, please feel free to add them or to let me know. Juan will let me know if you put them in the chat, okay? So one more is how much fair are the exams to determine the future career of students? Okay, so this is an interesting question. However, it doesn't sound like a problem statement. This sounds like a debate question. Okay, so here you're not inviting solutions, but you're inviting explanations. Okay, if you're inviting solutions, how we could go perhaps for something like this? How can we explore alternative methods of assessment that can let's say address student abilities? Does that make sense? Perhaps whoever wrote it, let me know if that makes sense, because probably this is where you're coming from. Okay. Now, next one, how to know and regulate emotions to improve motivation and create better relationships. Okay, good one. This is overlapping perhaps with one we had further up. Okay, so improve motivation and enhance relationships. It was somewhere there. Okay. Now, how do we maintain the motivation of majority of students? Okay, this is fairly straightforward. So you're inviting solutions into how to keep up the motivation in students. I would change perhaps the language, the grammar, but for us, for the time being, that's fine. How to foster equality between classmates. Very direct, very simple, very important. So again, that's a very good one. How does teacher behavior affect student motivation? So this could be one of those debate questions again. So perhaps it would be, what type of teacher behavior? May I say actions as well? Okay, may enhance, so the focus is on enhancing, okay? Student motivation. And like that, you're specifically asking for the type of behaviors that you would like to see in relation to student behavior. So there's a comment in the chat. Yeah, okay, thank you, Ida. Okay, good. How do you feel? I'll stop sharing because this is really lonely being here. How do you feel on a scale from 1 to 5? Now, 5 is good. How 5? Oh, cool, 1, thank you. I didn't pay him, huh? Better, more at ease. Well, 5, cool, Beatrice. You've gone up from 3 to 5, cool. Okay, good. Manuel, how are you? You're smiling, good. 4, well, you wrote a good comment there. I liked it, thank you. Good. Okay, let's move on. So what's going to happen now is, if I'm going to put the questions down in the chat, Okay, I'm going to allocate breakout rooms. Actually, you know what? I'm looking at the time and it's really, really going. So perhaps instead of going in a breakout room, because then we would need to report, perhaps we could keep the plenary session and move on to one statement and take it further. Would that be okay with you? Good. Okay, so I'll share my screen again. And now it will be time to vote again, okay? So I will, if you don't mind, because you know what our conversation was like, I will remove the things that the statements that we have tweaked. Okay. And you can see for better visibility, okay? I'm even ignoring my statement now because I prefer to use yours. So I'm giving these a number. And if you could please vote which one you would like to generate ideas for. Pick the one you prefer. Okay, so write in the chat the number, please. Okay. It's like you read each other's minds. So we have 2 or 6, 8, 8, 10, 10, 10, 8, 10, 8 or 10, 8, 10, 8, 8, 8, 8. So 8 seems to be quite a popular one. So it's between either 8 or 10. So either, so I'm going to, if you don't mind. Oh, hold on. So, So these were your choices. Okay, so how to enhance creativity, how to know and regulate emotion, how to know and regulate emotions to improve motivation and create better relationships. May I stick to the easier one if you don't mind? Okay, so we will go with how to enhance group creativity. Okay, so if you look back here, we're still in step 3. So from motivation, emotions, and relationships, so we kind of moved, okay? But as a byproduct of group creativity, you could enhance emotions, motivation, and relationships, okay? When people work together, you get to know each other a little bit more, and so on. So if you were to be tasked with this job, you're in charge of a group of students and you need to enhance their group creativity. How would you go about it? Solutions. The ball is in your court. And we have, actually, let's do this. And we have a few minutes, take about 5 minutes to think about this individually. Okay, so I will put the timer on for 5 minutes. So if it were up to you, how would you enhance group creativity? What would you do? What solutions are there? They don't necessarily need to be the usual solutions. So we're going for novelty and usefulness. Okay. They can be, if you want crazy ideas, we'll see how to make them work. So suspend judgment, just come up with how you would enhance group creativity. So put them down somewhere on a Word document, piece of paper, and then towards the end, we'll put them in the chat. Okay, so you will copy all and paste them all together, so we'll know who's saying what. Okay, so 5 minutes. Well, it's almost 4 now, but I'll paste the task in the chat as well. Carmen, hold them for now, so that you'll keep your ideas to yourself for now. So that we'll get the ones who are a bit sleepy to think a little bit as well. Maria as well, hold them for now. Don't press enter for now, okay? I'm so happy to see your motivation levels up. It's okay, Carmen. So 1 minute. Okay. 10 seconds. So 9, 8, 3, 2, 1, and that's it. Okay, so time's up. Would you like to paste your answers in the chat? So here I have, I'm not posting the names if you don't mind, so Bear with me. Okay. Because now I can't keep up with. Good. I hope that I'm not missing any. So I'm just pasting them in the chat. Some have more than one next to each other. Okay, so Manuel's is the last one for now. Good. So, oh, sorry. Thank you, Juan. Okay, so bear with me. Let me fix this a bit. So, you see, in 5 minutes of thinking, we managed to come up with quite a nice list here, okay? So, 1, voluntary activities. Okay. Sorry for taking a while, but it's good for you to see your work. It's the best way of looking at this. Okay, I think there's one more. Create. Okay. Oh, thank you, Raquel. Thank you. It's been lovely having you. Okay, so good. So look at this, ladies and gentlemen. You managed to come up with 17 different ideas. Some might be related of how we can enhance group creativity. So to create a friendly environment, to propose semi-open tasks to be developed and the collaborative group, I think, so working on a common task, okay, add physical movement to this task, so add interest there as well, good. Meetings outside of the school to get to know each other, voluntary activities, define together the group creativity, that the group vision, so to have a common vision perhaps, cultural events. If we are able to link multiple fields of knowledge, we will be more creative than if we are experts in just one field. Give them different roles to members within the same group. Let them get bored. Give them reference professionals. Let them give their opinion. Don't put unnecessary rules in certain exercises. Give them time to think. Brainstorming sessions. Trying to visualize a problem in a different way or in different environments, replace lecturing with debates or simulations so that students can directly experience what they are learning, and create a visual thinking. So here, I have to congratulate you all because I think that you did really well. I have to do this. Well done. You did really well with this. And it wasn't something that you normally do, you know? Again, so you did something. Okay, we identified an area where we wanted to do some thinking, so schools, We made a list of what to take for granted or what we assume in relation to schools. And then out of that list, we focus on one area. Can you imagine that you are working in a school, because this is a topic, or in an organization, and you had to do this activity. And then those lists that you assume, you give different groups that task. So they define a problem statement and they generate ideas for the task. Can you imagine the wealth of ideas that you would have in a group, in an organization? So if you're setting up your own little business, okay, and you're looking, you don't need a consultant, not necessarily in this case. So you can look for areas for improvement that can be doable and actionable by yourselves. And I think that this is how and why these tools are so empowering. Okay, it's very, very useful. So I will now need to go back to my presentation. Okay, because so we made a list here, and I think that you should be able to see my presentation. And these were the steps that we did go through. Okay, step 1, make a list of what we take for granted, what we assume, and we thought of different solutions, so we picked one. And now the convergent thinking style. So what all those are